exciting, quick talks for another 30 minutes. And first talk will be presented by Michał, where he'll talk about open your data sets and how much of bold data we have there, I think. Right?
Yes.
And start through the line for our screen, yes. Is projector on at all? Yeah, it is on, in principle. Plug and plug. Raise your hand.
Light is on.
Let's try a few more adapters to make the full chain. He has USB-C to HDMI, I think. Oh, Mac, he has Lenovo Chinese technology.
Okay, I can go directly.
You go directly. Living on the edge. Here we go.
Yes. Okay, so I guess this is another brief love letter to the neuroscience community. So on NeuroStars, which is a forum for neuro questions, user Pimin asked about if and how could you estimate the total number of fMRI hours on OpenNeuro. And then Chris chimed in with a suggestion to use data.fuse and downloading the super dataset and then reading just 1 kilobyte from each file. So that's something data.fuse can do in a single command, and then reading the header information from there. So the data part, if on that command line, it's just fsspec head 1024, and I don't have to worry about where the file is and about streaming the part. I just tell how many bytes I want, and then I can read the header and download and figure out the number, and then I can use bits metadata to find out the repetition time, multiply the numbers, get the answer. So that was Chris's suggestion. In practice, it's a real word, so you have to worry about a couple extra things. So things will error out. You have to catch errors, skip some data sets. But that's it. In the meantime, there was some discussion about some errors with accessing S3 remote, which then have gone away. And then in the end, nobody gave the answer. So 2 weeks ago, I asked myself, how hard could that be? And it is not very hard. And also, if you have a cluster, you can do 4 parallel jobs and get the answer in, I don't know, less than 8 hours probably. So overnight. So according to my count, the answer is something like 28,000 hours of fMRI on OpenNeuro, which I think is pretty impressive, and the number goes up. And it has, every year there's more, although there's some interesting dip in here. I wonder why. There's some caveats, in particular, that includes 800 out of 900 datasets that have bold files. The others was bits layout wouldn't initialize, but that's as good as we can do with the basic tools without digging in too deep. And I think one more, the x-axis is the date of the last commit, so it doesn't necessarily reflect the publication, but I believe in most cases does. So yeah, 28,000 hours, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Michał. And I'll self-invite myself to the stage. Whatever everybody was awaiting, right? There we go. Okay, and we'll talk more about con tools. And one of the tools which I actually use quite often, and even use it especially in the issues. I thought to comment on about it yesterday. Oh, that's where the password is. Okay. We'll need to figure out how to do all these demos. And Matthias was already about to comment on here. Okay, we'll go to this window. It's a little bit zoomed out. I will not mess with my zoom scale. So the project continues. Yesterday there were talks about, we have this decentralized Git, right, Radical, and Radical comes with decentralized CI. What it was called? That one, right? So with decentralized, even with centralized CI, what gets annoying is that those logs live somewhere in the cloud, right? So you go somewhere, you download the log, you find out what is wrong, right? And then you proceed. And I told you I am data herder, right? So what I wanted is a tool which will download all the logs for me so I could access them locally, right? And maybe do what is my favorite of the Git commands yesterday? Grep. Here we go. So that's what I do for a living now. I download the logs, and with Tinius, John wrote Tinius pretty nicely. So you configure it, and it downloads logs from GitHub Actions, Travis CI, AppWare, and Circle CI, but not only logs, but also artifacts. Why we did it? Well, we did it primarily for data-led Git Annex, where we for years provide the standalone build, so not UV builds, not the fast ones, but standalone, in best traditions of standalone builds of Git Annex, and we test them against data-led versions. So we provide this testing across different also scenarios, and there we also build releases. So for every release, as it's detected, we build and upload artifacts for that release to associate with that tag. So instead of downloading from GitHub now, I have my local clone, that would be this terminal, which is, where is my mouse now? Jesus Christ, okay, here, and it's to the left, to the right, where are we? To the bottom, to the right? Where do I move that window? Oh, here, okay. No, that didn't work. Here we go. Okay, no terminals for you today. And there is a repository, though, on which you could assess it. It's continuous inception, where it downloads the logs of continuous CI runs. So that's why it's inception on itself. And it demonstrates how easy to create the configuration for it. So pretty much you point to GitHub repository. At the moment, I think only GitHub supported. And then you provide prefix on how you arrange your files. And if you put / anywhere, that's the boundary of your data-led subdata set. If I succeeded with my terminal, I would have demonstrated on Git Annex, because there is lots of builds every day across platforms, so there is lots of logs. That's where Yoda principle that, you need to modularize. So I create separate months. For each month, there is separate collection of logs. And then I could verify that, let's say, a given test is indeed on and off, or maybe it was fixed now, and finally no longer there is some sporadic fails, right? So I could do all those tests with data-led for each subdata set, and then git grep and get me results across all of those logs, or download a specific version of Git Annex. So here you are. Please use it. It's a nice tool, and especially if you like your logs and you hate going online and getting them. But also I wondered how it could be used with Radical and other deployments of CIs where we fetch this stuff. Thank you. Okay. Now I need to speak to this microphone, right? Okay. Who was next on our schedule? Where is the schedule? I think Joy, right.
Hello? Okay, good. So I thought I would, since people were talking about IRO and Radical this morning, I thought I'd talk a little bit about what Git Annex has as far as peer-to-peer stuff. You have to start with the fact that Git is actually peer-to-peer, right? And when you git pull or push, that's a peer-to-peer operation, at least in theory, if you're not using GitHub or something. And so Git Annex also supports going over an SSH connection or an HTTP connection and talking to a peer, and it can get Git Annex objects from the peer or send objects, that kind of thing, right? So when I was building Git Annex, I didn't know what I was doing, and so I did the simplest possible thing, which is simple line-based protocol, give me an object, end of object, next command, okay. Very simple. And that's what it still uses. For a long time now, GetNX has also supported running over Tor, and it can run as a Tor onion node. And it's speaking the same peer-to-peer protocol over Tor. It just has peers connect to the onion node, which is a GetNX process, and they speak the same peer-to-peer protocol, but there's obviously some complications around, I don't trust random people connecting to an onion node to, say, delete stuff out of my repository or something like that, so it does a little bit of identification of them. So recently I generalized that into a generic peer-to-peer transport. And the idea is that I don't know anything about peer-to-peer stuff. I don't know what a good peer-to-peer network looks like. Maybe somebody out there who knows and can write one, it can then be hooked into GetAnnex and GetAnnex can use it. And whichever is the good one, people will end up using, right? So the way this works is it's a helper command GetAnnex P2P dash whatever the network type is, say IRO, and it just gets run in a few different ways. One way it outputs your own personal address on that peer-to-peer network, so GetAnnex can know what its address is. Another one, it connects to some peer on the network by address, and it just speaks the same protocol over that connection. Very simple again. And then the third way is it listens for incoming connections on a socket, which have to be somehow relayed in from your peer-to-peer application, and then it just serves up the same protocol. Very, very simple. So there is this pluggable thing. Nobody has actually written something for it yet. It would be cool if somebody did. IRO seems like a really promising candidate to me, potentially. And it doesn't involve hacking on GetAnnex. It's just writing a simple program. Now, it's also possible this doesn't work at all because nobody has written anything that uses it yet. Anyway, there was also some question about whether Radical could support GetAnnex as, like tunneling GetAnnex over it or something like that. I mean, I suppose that's possible, but to my way of thinking, it doesn't actually have any real benefits because Radical is, as we learned this morning, doing, it has a relay and all the traffic goes via the relay. And so if you start sending GetAnnex traffic via the relay and it's terabytes of data, then you're going to overwhelm these relays, which aren't scaled for that. They're scaled for get data. That's just my feeling, though. If somebody wanted to, they could, get Radical to connect up the same peer-to-peer protocol and it would just work, pretty much, in theory. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to mention, but I think the other thing is that, to me, peer-to-peer is a very complicated thing. There's not just one way to do it. GetAnnex is thinking in the world of, I have something like an SSH server over here, I'm over here, I'm going to connect to it, we're going to talk. But you can have all kinds of complicated things. You can have, gossip networks, whatever. GetAnnex doesn't know anything about that. It's a completely different model, right? Radical is doing something completely different with Git than Git's normal model, and it's tunneling the same Git protocol over it. Oh, and by the way, if you implement one of these peer-to-peer GetAnnex things, you get Git push and pull for free. It'll just work. It runs over the GetAnnex protocol, and then it runs the Git protocol over that, and then, yeah. So anyway, if you wanted to look into implementing one of these, I'll post a link to it in the chat. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Joey. And next is Matthias, I believe. We'll talk about time management special remote.
Yeah, so I I just want to showcase a very unusual special remote because I think it's a good example that you can think outside of the box a bit. So for some context, Jan Büchau presented last year this tool called NX Timelog, which is very cool. It essentially is a CLI time tracking software like, what are some comparisons, Time Warrior, for example, that uses Git NX and especially Git NX metadata support as its storage backend. So you can use it to track times, working times or whatever in Git NX repository and use all the goodies of Git NX to sync that up to any other location. And now, we at the Forschungszentrum, we have this employee portal where when you're working from home, for example, you have to do like a time correction and say, I've worked from 9 a.m. to 6 in the evening, whatever. And that's a web form where you type it in yourself. And for some reasons, I don't want to go into detail too much. I don't like it. So what I did is I opened my trusty browser's developer console and I looked at what exactly happens if I submit a report there. And I realized, yeah, that's just a post request. I can do that from Python. Then I thought, okay, there's NX Timelog. I can record my times in there. And, well, special remotes are used to push something somewhere. So can I hook that up? And it turns out, yes, you can. And it works surprisingly well. So what I did is write this Git NX remote FZJ time management, which takes, if you have an NX time log, a recorded event that has a start time and an end time and reason that you want to put into the time correction, then it can sync that up into the employee portal without ever leaving your terminal. So what it does, by the way, I've used the awesome NX remote module, which makes it really easy to implement special remotes. And in this case, like I've written a function here, submit record, that just like takes a bunch of parameters and makes a post request and, or actually, all right, no, to get requests to get a CSRF token, and then I post that, and actually this thing doesn't give back any useful error messages, like it's always the 200, so some working around there, but in the end, this means I can have this special remote that I can initialize, it gets some credentials, and it sets like a wanted rule that any kind of recorded event that has like a reason attached and a start date or start time and an end time that's wanted by this remote, and then some preparatory stuff, and then there's the transfer store, which essentially just takes all the events that haven't been pushed to the employee portal yet and submits them via this submit record function, then transfer retrieve, not implemented. This is a write-only remote. You can't read anything from there. Check present, that could really just be a return true in honesty. And so the end result is that I can go in my terminal and at the start of the day, I can write ATL cont, which will just like, bigger, yeah. Doesn't work. One moment. Yeah, so I can write like ATL cont, and then it will use the last used parameters. In this case, I'm at home, tags, I'm working. I have this time management reason FAK, which is just this internal thing that has to be put in there. Can say I want to store this event. Then at the end of the day, I can write ATL stop, and that will ask me, do you really want to record this event? Now I have like in this recorded event with a start time and end time and this time management reason, and now the remote would want it. So if I were to write ATL sync, it would be pushed to the employee portal, and I don't have to touch this form in any other way. Yeah, I'm not going to do it now, but it would work. Yeah, so this is one of those projects that happen when out of anger, and I think that that's are often the best projects. I've been using that for more than a year now, and for my purposes it works. And maybe you can, if you are in after that, this might be immediately useful to you. If not, maybe you can take some inspiration from that. Special remotes traditionally are used to store data, but you can do a lot more with them. So that's it from me.
Thank you. And though I try to scare everybody with me speaking more, nobody standed out. And anybody wants to present anything for those few minutes? We could start next session earlier. What did? Oh. There we go, Katharina.
Something small, but I think it's kind of a start. So let's see. Okay, now I need to get the same resolutions here. Yeah, so I was thinking about so how is the issue reporting for some project going, and how can I sync that between kind of multiple Git repos sources? So now I'm lazy and I push to GitHub, but I know it's not good. But then I thought, okay, maybe I can distribute this. And so I just did it like this, basically. I put an issue README, an issue folder here. It's currently empty, but when we look into some of these forks, here we got some issues left. Those are done. And yeah, the nice thing about this is basically those are synced between Codeberg and GitHub, and I created some simple link, where you can basically just get some editor dialog for the people that don't want to check out the repo but still want to report issues. And so yeah, I thought it was nice to show this kind of workflow, which is kind of an alternative. Yeah, and also the nice thing is, with Forgeo, you can just kind of point to an arbitrary issue tracker, so you can just point to this README there, and then everyone kind of clicks on this thing and comes to the right direction. Yeah. This was just, and I think this can be extended. So basically, if you have some documentation page for your project, you can basically use front matter to track status for all the issues and link to them and create your own issue tracker out of this. I think this could even be get into something bigger. It's what I asked myself. Why don't we use this project management information directly in Git for most of the projects? It's kind of GitHub took all this out of the Git workflow and kind of commercialized it. It's kind of, I think this is the way to kind of break this. Yeah, thank you.